Most Nigerians were not surprised after the heightened tension in the House, in the Senate, to override President Muhammadu Buhari's veto on the Electoral Act Amendment Bill. Despite the resolve and threats by many senators on Tuesday during plenary to overrule Buhari's veto of the Electoral Act Amendment Bill, the Senate yesterday backed down from its resolve. To some Nigerians, the consistent use of the word rubber stamp Senate seems to be playing out gradually as Nigerians look forward to January 2022 when plenary resumes. Joining us now from Aba in Abia State is Professor Paul Ananaba, a senior advocate of Nigeria. Good morning. Good morning, Professor. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, my sister. Good morning, Dr. Bati.
Good morning, Prof. Thank you very much for joining us. Well, I mean, we've been on this subject more or less the whole of this week so far. But again, this morning we've talked about the kind of political solution that the lawmakers are trying to find. We have heard about governors trying to influence and manipulate the National Assembly, and also the lawmakers saying they will consult their constituents during the Christmas break. But could you help us again define what the framework of the law, the enabling law, with regard to lawmaking, the president's veto, the overriding veto of the president's veto, what all of that is all about, and whether at the end of the day what we may be dealing with will just be politics rather than the constitutional provisions, the rule of law.
Thank you, Dr. Bati. I'm sure you listened to Senator Arise, and you've had so much commentaries going on and on and on. The reality is that every member of the National Assembly is at least abreast of the constitutional provision on overriding the veto of the president. But the point here is, we've seen this several times. This is the fifth time the president had refused to sign an electoral bill. And now, what we see, of course, constitutionally speaking, the concurrence of the two houses, the Senate and the National Assembly and the House of Reps, coming together, they can override the veto of the president. We saw that happen in the NDCC Act and several other acts. But the point is, what is the interest of this country? What is in the best interest of Nigerians? You will see that when the president wrote the National Assembly, we were told that the following day that, the National Assembly was going to vote. There was a news about 73 senators signing and all that. But look at the perspective that has come in. Overnight, you hear that the lawmakers will need to consult their constituents. How? Which constituents are they consulting? Are they going to hold meetings with Omicron and all the variants? Are they going to go away from the security? Some of the parliamentarians cannot even go to their constituencies because of security and all that. So it has become a political issue when a senator or a House of Reps member goes home to his constituency. Is he not going to meet his governor or her governor? Are they going to have issues? Are they not going to go? Is he not going to go along the feeling of the governor? When you are aware that many of the governors do not want direct election, direct primaries. So this is the issue. So all we are doing is most likely arguing, winning the argument, but losing the man. I thought that the president could have done it in different ways. The Electoral Act is so important. It would have been passed, it would have been signed, it would have been assented to. And the National Assembly, the president could still inform the National Assembly to take steps to review the issue of direct and indirect primaries. Speaking as a practitioner, many of the people who have joined in these arguments have not really fully appreciated the issues of post and pre-primary election litigations that go on in this country. They are so humongous. What we've been practicing will not give a different result. Next year, by this time next year, it will be hotting up. Pre-election litigation. And it has implication on this country, because when these courts are bogged down with pre-election matters, it will affect civil and criminal matters in this court. It is the same judges. We don't have specialized election judges. It's the same judges that will be hearing these matters, the same high courts, the same court of appeal, and Nigerians will be. As I speak to you, an average case in the Supreme Court would have been 11, 12 years to be heard. So these are the issues. There are lots and lots of good provisions in the Electoral Act that we should not allow one item to derail. So both on the side of the presidency and the National Assembly may well bring back this direct election and indirect election. If the president is assuring this country that he will sign that bill into an act, bring back this issue of direct or indirect primaries, and then do a special legislation on it, which can start and continue after the vacation. You now ask them to go home. They're going home to consult constituencies, and you know it will become political, economically, political, socially. So I think that the National Assembly know that they have the powers to override the president, that they are not likely to do again, because they will not do it if they go to their constituents to meet the governor, the people in the few people, stakeholders likely, and they are going to be told, don't take this away from the governors, because the overriding philosophy behind the direct primaries is that, okay, give power back to the people. Even though when you do that, this governors primarily will still play a role to override it. The issue of direct or indirect primaries has always been there. The only point is that the new bill seeks to limit it to direct primaries. Why can't we have direct primaries? Why can't we use technology? That is still time. In the course of this table tennis, go back, come, and all that, we may end up with what happened towards the last election, in which the presidency would say.
We'll take a short break, and then when we return, Tundu Abiola is waiting for you, Professor Ananaba, for a follow-up question. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to the morning show, Professor Paul Ananaba. We apologize for that. We couldn't hear you for a second there, but we trust that you're back with us. So my question for you now that it's clearly, I don't know, 'tis the season, right, for excuses and unconvincing arguments, first from the president and now from the Senate president. What happens now? Because one of the excuses that we've heard previously from President Buhari was that the Electoral Amendment Bill was presented to him almost on the eve of the 2019 general election. It appears that now we have more time because there's a 2023 general election, but do we? Because there really is no unimportant election. We are also on the eve of Ekiti and Osun elections. In February, there'll be Abuja municipal elections, but APC has already announced the date for their primaries for Ekiti and Osun elections as early as January for Ekiti and Osun in March. What needs to happen now to ensure that we do not go to the 2023 polls with the Electoral Act of 2010, which is really the most important thing now? Very briefly, sir.
I share your concern, my sister. Like I said, I led the legal team to the Osun elections, the last Osun election. So, speaking from experience, I understand a few things. That time may not allow us to speak on air now. Now, what point I am making, you're asking me what will happen. That's why I said the National Assembly should act fast. In the interest of this country, they can still reassemble for one day before the end of this year, review these amendments, and get the Electoral Act, reject a bit, particularly with this, bring out this direct and indirect primary thing, and get the rest of the Electoral Act passed, and then come back. We can afford to perhaps leave Ekiti and Osun, and then debate the direct and indirect clearly. But let's not allow this primaries issue be cloud and stop the very good amendments, including electronic transmission and all that is in the Electoral Act. Now, also, the presidency can also change its mind and say, okay, I will assent to this bill, but even though I feel strongly about it, Nigerians have seen I feel strongly about it, National Assembly, come back, further amend the act. I mean, that it happens. That particular paragraph or particular section can be repealed and reenacted. Those are democratic procedures. But I think that the reasons we are seeing may not be the real reasons. Because if the reasons are these political, security, economical, and legal issues, I don't think it is enough for an important act like the Electoral Act. Like I stated earlier, many Nigerians, I think INEC should proceed to give statistics as to how many pre-election matters we've had in the previous elections and the economic cost on this country. The judicial cost, time. Many cases have not been heard because of election, pre-election and post-election matters. So must we continue like that every year, every election year cycle? And the point being made is clear. There is no time. We may be saying there is time. By this time next year, we are talking about the election eve itself. We may still be doing this rainbow, you bug passing, blame game. No, it shouldn't be. That's the point being made here. The National Assembly should act fast. They should move on, move quickly, hold special session, and resolve this issue one way or the other. If they want to veto, let them proceed and veto the legislation. If they don't want to veto, let them quickly, in good time, remove that content, and send back to the president to sign and rejig it. The question is there any guarantee that even if you remove the the primaries, whether direct or indirect, that the president will sign. Do we have that guarantee? These are the issues. And I think patriotism and nationalism should play a major role at this point. Both the National Assembly and the presidency should consider the impact of not having a 2021 or 2022 Electoral Act and still going back to 2010.
Well, Prof, I know one wise man who will say that you cannot be more correct. You know, your point about patriotism and nationalism, and then you've made the point that we really don't have time. Perhaps what we're dealing with is the urgency of now with this particular subject.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Professor Paul Ananaba.